Hey guys, so I finally just got done watching the interview. It only took me long enough. I know back on my review back for Unbroken, I said I actually bought the damn movie. I did buy it like on Christmas Eve, and then finally just got around to watching it today. Um, and I apologize for that, but I've been fucking busy. I've been like, this has been like one of my priorities to try to get this movie review for this movie done before the end of the year, which is the last day of 2014 is tomorrow. So I was like, fuck, I gotta get this done pretty quickly. But as as far as the interview goes, I don't think there's much I could say about it that hasn't been already said. Especially when it comes to all this hoopla it's been going on over the past few weeks. Um, I remember actually, funny thing is that if you watched, anybody who's been watching my reviews, I mentioned this movie back all the way back in May when I got a trailer for this, a first teaser trailer. I was really fucking confused. I got it in front of neighbors. I got really confused by it. Like, why the fuck are James Franco and Seth Rogen going to assassinate Kim Jong Un? That's all it basically gave. It just said James Franco and Seth Rogen are going to kill Kim Jong Un. I'm like, what the fuck? Why? And then the second trailer came out like a couple months later, and I actually thought second trailer was really good and actually was pretty goddamn funny. And I actually was, I was going to support this film because I love Seth Rogen and James Franco. I was planning on supporting this film before all the controversy, all the shit that happened in the last couple of weeks happened. And then, of course, everybody knows, unless you've been living under a fucking rock, Sony made the decision like last couple weeks ago, right before Christmas, the week before it came out, to pull the movie from being released. And I, like everybody else, was fucking up in arms. I was supporting the hell out of this movie. And there's not much I can say. Again, there's not much I could say that hasn't already been said. I said in my Exodus review, fuck Sony. I also want to say this: it's not all Sony's fault. Sony was kind of backed into a fucking corner. I'll give them props. They were backed into a corner because all the major movie theater chains were the ones that started this because they fucking pulled the movie from their theaters, like, because there was bomb threats. Because they don't fucking realize that North Korea doesn't have really the fucking manpower to bomb every movie theater. But that's another fucking rant to go on about. But anyways, now this movie's like, I'm sorry, I haven't gotten to the actual movie yet, but then ironically now movie theaters the movie's done very well on YouTube and video on demand. The fucking movie theaters now are wanting to put it out. Even my cheap theater that I like work or live by is now putting the movie out this weekend. Fuck them. I'm fucking supporting video on demand. Way to go YouTube. I want to give props to YouTube, by the way, for all getting the rights to this movie. But anyways, one of the funny things also was that with this movie, people, like, the controversy kind of overshadowed the reviews, because if you've been following the reviews for this movie like I have, there were reviews for this movie before it got banned or got pulled, and the reviews weren't very good. So I was kind of interested, like, now that like all the controversy was going on, like, was this movie really that worth it? Like, I was sitting there like, after all this hoopla, is it really that fucking worth it? Well, what did I think of the movie? Did I think it was worth it? I thought the movie was okay. I thought it was good. It was a good movie. There wasn't anything I was mad about, but at the end of the day, with this movie, the movie's not going to be remembered. It's going to be the events that surrounded this movie and its release that are going to be remembered more than this actual movie. And that's kind of a problem. This movie isn't bad. It isn't. I don't think it deserves some of the bad reviews it got. It doesn't. I mean, it's not flawless. It's not definitely not Seth Rogen or James Franco's best comedy. Trust me, it isn't. But it's an ambitious film. I'll give it that. It's ambitious comedy that I give him props for it. The thing I will give props for major wise is the chemistry between fucking James Franco and Seth Rogen is just amazing. It's always been amazing. I've always liked the two. They work well off one another, and they really work well off one another in this movie. They're really good in this fucking film. They've been best friends for years. You can fucking tell by just watching them on screen, and the way they just interact with one another. And they're great in this movie, phenomenal. And this, they definitely carried their chemistry carried this movie for me. I also think that this movie, it is pretty funny. It has some pretty funny moments. I mean, honestly, the tone of this movie kind of set in, like, what kind of movie you're getting is kind of set in the first, like, two scenes. The first scene you get is a scene where a little girl basically is saying, in I don't know if it's Chinese, Korean, I don't know, fuck it. She's singing about death to America and how American women should be raped by wild beasts while their children watch. That's literally the lyrics to the song. And she's singing it in, like, Korean or whatever. It's pretty bad. And then the next scene you see is James Franco's character, Dave Skylark, doing an interview with Eminem where Eminem admits he's a gay. It's literally Eminem. It's Eminem makes a cameo. There's a few cameos in this movie, and this is pretty funny. That kind of sets the tone for what kind of humor you get in this fucking movie. Some really wild, off the wall humor, and some of it works, some of it doesn't. But I mean, the movie was good, but also I'll give the movie props for when it does get serious and it does get into some of the stuff with, I mean, when you have a serious subject about Kim Jong-un and how the fucking terrible dictator this guy is, you gotta address some of the stuff, like the concentration camps, all that shit, and the starvation of his citizens and stuff like that. And they do, and they handled it well, I thought. When it needs to get serious and get into the serious subjects about this movie, and from what I heard, Seth Rogen definitely did his homework about it. I don't know what was fabricated. I don't know. Who knows? First and foremost, it is a fucking comedy. Problems I have with this movie. One, I'm not sure if I'm the only one who's saying this, but I like James Franco, and I really do. I love James Franco to death. He was a little much in this movie, and some of the humor that he provides in this movie is just a little weird. Like, my favorite scene that really fucking baffled me, like I don't know why the hell this was put in here. There's a scene where they get the interview and they see with Kim Jong Un, and James Franco's talking to Seth Rogen, and then all of a sudden he pops a pill in Seth Rogen's mouth, and Seth Rogen is like, he swallows it and he goes, "Well, what was that?" He says, "The greatest ecstasy I've ever had." And next thing you know, they're in a rave and they're all high on ecstasy, and I'm like, well, what the fuck was that all about? Like, it just comes out of fucking nowhere, like, okay. And then, just James Franco is being James Franco to a fucking, to the max. The thing with James Franco is that you get what you get with him, and he's just, he's maybe a little much for me in this movie. Sorry, eating M&M's. Sorry. But anyways, James Franco, yeah, he was a little much in this movie. Also, you have to do throw like believability out of out the window a little bit in this fucking movie, almost a lot. Are you like, are you fucking serious? Is this the best option CIA really has? It's kind of, if I would almost not be. I don't think North Korea should be pissed. I think CIA should be pissed more than North Korea. CIA's made to look like total dumbasses. I will give props to this movie also, and it's kind of commentary on like, you know, our news media and stuff like that is pretty good and pretty spot on. And also, I like at one point, you know, spoiler alert, one of Kim Jong Un's loyal, damn it, one his propaganda, the head of propaganda, the girl who's head of propaganda, basically joins in on James Franco and Seth Rogen's plot, but she doesn't want to kill him because she points out like what is one of the major problems with America is that why the hell we keep doing this where we kill all these dictators, but because next thing you know, because what usually happens and it always does is that in the end another one pops up that might be even fucking worse than the one that we just killed. And so why do we keep doing that? And I actually kind of agree. It's like, I actually like that movie. Like, at least they addressed that. And they do point out some of the flaws with America in this movie. It's not just North Korea. They point out some legitimate flaws with America and some of its involvement in some of the shit with Korea. But anyways, really, again, like, is this really, like, it's kind of hard to believe that this is the CIA's best option to take these two guys that have no idea what the fuck they're doing and have them put them in charge of one of the most important missions in killing a really world-renowned dictator. That it's hard. I mean, I know it's a comedy, I know it's a farce, but it's kind of like you have to throw a lot of believability out the window. Luckily, this movie doesn't take itself way too seriously. If it did, then I maybe would have more of a problem with it. But, anyways, also, I'm sure the guy who played Kim Jong Un, there is a guy who plays Kim Jong Un. Probably will have to go into hiding. It probably will never show his face in Korea or China ever, because, yeah, he. Basically, they make him like a sympathetic character at first, which is kind of funny, and they make him. He's basically because the only reason he is the way he is because he has daddy issues. I'm not joking. That's their explanation in this movie. I thought he did fine. I actually did find the guy who played Kim Jong Un did fine. I like this stuff with him and James Franco because him and James Franco and his character and Kim Jong Un basically become buddies, and it becomes like a buddy comedy between the two of them, which is kind of funny. But then like Franco basically sees how evil Kim Jong Un really is and stuff like that. I guess I could talk about the ending of this movie. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but I was sitting here all, well, I was like, well, that happened. I remember the ending of that movie is like, well, that was good. I guess, you know, this movie didn't get us blown up. The ending of this movie, I'm kind of glad apparently, like, you know, most North Korea did not see this movie because the ending to this movie could have got us blown up. I will say that. How this movie ends was like, well, that was interesting. Because I kind of was interested in what was going to be the fate of Kim Jong Un by the end of this movie, and I didn't really predict that. I was interested where it was going. Also, it's fucking weird that this movie does become literally the end of this movie literally becomes the end of fucking Inglourious Basterds. I'm not fucking joking. The movie becomes ultra violent towards the end of the movie for no fucking reason. It's kind of a weird tonal shift, honestly. It becomes like fucking, like I said, literally the end of, I can only compare it to the end of fucking Glorious Bastards. It's like that. Um, that almost kind of is getting into spoilers there. But, but, man, sorry. I'm probably just rambling on by now. Um, Honestly, this is one of those movies I have a tough time deciding whether to recommend it or not, because at the end of the day, I'm for people watching this movie and supporting it, because you know I'm all for about freedom of speech and shit like that. This we gotta show. I mean, we have to. I'm in the boat that people should support this movie, but at the same time, it's not that great of a movie. It could have been better. It was nothing really bad about it. Nothing really pissed me off. It was just okay. Again, like I said, at the end of the day, this movie is not what's going to be remembered. It's the events that surrounded this movie that are going to be remembered more than the actual movie. Again, I recommend it. Watch it on video on demand. It's what, $6 to go watch it on demand. It's worth the $6. I wouldn't go see it at full price on a cheap theater. Go watch it on demand. I support it on demand. I like that, it's made shitloads of money. Apparently, a lot of people are supporting it. I'm glad it is. Made a shitloads of money. Even it made a lot of money fucking for 300 theaters. That's amazing. Good for this movie. Really good for that. Like I said, there's nothing really that pissed me off. Like, honestly, the stuff I had complained about, I wasn't really getting mad about. Like I said, so even the stupid stuff, even James Franco. Again, I like James Franco, and I thought he was. I did think he was a little much in this movie, and that's saying something because I usually support James Franco no matter what, even when he does a little batshit crazy performances that he does pretty much time to time. I'm gonna get off here. I'll be back tomorrow, probably by tomorrow, with a top 10 best movie of the year list, and also, I don't know, either a top 5 worst of the year list. Until then, I'll talk to you guys later.